Tonight, we drift into a place older than memory itself, a place where the air is thick with quiet life, where every root curls like a thought beneath the earth, and where every branch stretches as if reaching for dreams. The forest has always seemed silent to us, a hushed cathedral of wood and leaves. Yet science is beginning to reveal that silence is only an illusion, or hidden within the shadows the trees are whispering. Close your eyes for a moment, and imagine yourself lying on soft moss beneath a towering canopy. The night sky filters through green veins of leaves above you, starlight mingling with moonlight, dappling your skin in patterns older than human art. The forest feels still, but if you listen, not with ears, but with imagination, you sense a pulse, a hidden network beneath your body, humming in the soil, connecting life to life, tree to tree. This is not fantasy, but science. In recent years, researchers have uncovered that forests are far from mute. Trees can send warnings through the air, share food through their roots, pass knowledge through fungal threads like quiet, underground messengers. They do not speak with words, but with chemistry, with signals, with patience. A language measured not in seconds, but in centuries. Imagine a tree standing tall for hundreds of years. In its rings lies the memory of storms, of fires, of droughts survived. Its roots have touched countless others, feeding, trading, warning, sustaining. If such a being could speak to us, what would it say? Perhaps it already does, if only we learn how to listen. Tonight I invite you not into a lecture, but into a journey. We will wander through this hidden language of trees as though drifting through a dream. We will follow the invisible threads beneath the soil, the whispers in the wind, the gentle patience written in every ring of wood. Along the way, you will meet not just science, but wonder, because the deeper we understand forests, the more mysterious they seem. Take a slow breath with me now. Inhale, as though drawing in the resin-rich scent of pine needles. Exhale, as though releasing your worries into the dark, fertile earth. This is how we travel tonight, not with hurried steps, but with stillness, letting the forest carry us deeper. The story of trees is not just about biology, it is about connection. Each trunk you see is an individual, but beneath the ground, roots intertwine like hands, holding one another against the weight of storms. Little fungi weave through them like threads of lace, carrying sugars, water, and signals so delicately, so persistently, that scientists now call it the wood wide web. But poets might simply call it kinship. As we drift together into this tale, remember that what you hear is both fact and lullaby. Real experiments prove these exchanges. Real measurements record the chemicals. But the way we feel them, the way they touch our imagination, transforms the science into something gentler, something that can cradle the mind towards sleep. The forest will be our guide tonight. From the hidden networks beneath the soil, to the warning calls in the breeze, to the wisdom written in the rings of old trees, we will walk softly among their secrets. We will learn how they breathe, how they remember, how they care for one another. And at the end of our wandering, when your eyelids grow heavy and your thoughts blur like mist between branches, I will leave you here, resting in the care of the trees where silence is never empty and where the forest itself seems to watch over your sleep. So let us begin. Tonight we drift into the hidden language of trees. And if you feel at home among these quiet wonders, if you enjoy drifting into science, told like a dream, you might choose to stay with us by subscribing to The Sleep Scientist. But for now, there is nothing to do but breathe, listen, and let the forest draw you in. Tonight, we continue drifting deeper into the forest, where giants rise all around us, ancient trunks, bark rough as old skin, branches stretched wide as if holding the sky itself. They stand in silence, or so we think, but silence is never emptiness. These giants, though rooted, are not passive. They sense, they feel, they respond. Slowly, patiently, as if time itself bends to their rhythm. Close your eyes. Imagine leaning your back against the base of a towering oak. Its bark is cool beneath your skin, patterned with ridges carved by centuries. You feel its strength, but you also feel something subtler, the awareness of a being that has stood through storms. Through drought, through the quiet cycles of countless seasons, it does not move as we do, yet it perceives, it knows. Unlike us, trees cannot run from danger, nor seek shelter when weather turns harsh. Their survival depends on something different. Awareness rooted in place. A tree's body is alive with sensors, tuned to light, touch, gravity, and chemistry. Light leaves unfurl toward brightness. Inside each leaf, photoreceptors detect not only the presence of sunlight, but its angle, its intensity, even the length of the day. Through this, trees know when to grow, when to flower, when to rest. Gravity. Hidden in their roots are statocytes, cells containing tiny grains of starch. Like sand in a level, these grains shift under gravity, guiding roots downward into soil, while branches rise toward air. Vines sense surfaces, curling around branches, roots encounter stones, redirecting their growth. Even the faint brush of wind against leaves signals strength building, causing trunks to grow sturdier. Chemistry. Trees breathe in carbon dioxide, breathe out oxygen. But beyond this, they taste the air for signals. Tiny molecules released by neighbors warning of insects, fire, or drought. In stillness, trees are listening. One of the most remarkable abilities of trees is their relationship with light. We think of leaves as passive solar panels, but they are more like dancers moving to the rhythm of the sun. Each morning, as dawn breaks, millions of leaves turn. They angle themselves to catch the first rays, and throughout the day, they shift position to follow the sun's arc. This movement is called heliotropism. In a field of sunflowers, the motion is obvious, a chorus of golden faces tracking the sky. In forests, it is subtler, but no less vital. The science here is precise. Proteins within cells sense the blue wavelengths of light and trigger changes in growth hormones. Branches elongate toward light gaps, competing silently with neighbors. A young sapling beneath towering elders stretches desperately toward a shaft of sunlight, thin and fragile, yet determined. If no light comes, it may wait in dormancy for decades, patient as only a tree can be, until one day an elder falls and the sky opens. Then, in sudden triumph, the sapling explodes upward, racing toward the canopy. Meanwhile, as we imagine this chase for light, take a slow breath, inhale, and picture golden beams filtering through 1,000 leaves. Exhale, and let the warmth fade gently across your chest. Beneath the surface, roots move with equal purpose. They sense water, minerals, and even the presence of other roots nearby. How can something without eyes or ears perceive the world so richly? It begins with chemical gradients. Soil is not uniform. Some pockets hold more nutrients, some less. Roots taste the differences. Microscopic hairs along their length detect where nitrogen or phosphorus is richer, and the root steers itself that way. They grow around rocks through cracks, avoiding barren patches, moving always toward opportunity. And remarkably, roots are not blind to life around them. Experiments show that roots can tell the difference between kin and strangers. They may grow more cooperatively near relatives, but aggressively when surrounded by competitors. Some release allelopathic chemicals, substances that suppress rivals, leaving the soil toxic for others. It is strategy, not chance. Imagine lying on the ground and feeling these root tips pressing softly through the soil around you, searching, tasting, listening. A forest's foundation is alive with quiet intelligence. Above ground, trees breathe. With each day, leaves open tiny pores called stomata, taking in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. It is an exchange we depend on with every inhale. But this breath is more than simple chemistry, it is also communication. When a tree is attacked by insects, say caterpillars chewing its leaves, it releases volatile organic compounds, small airborne molecules, invisible to us but powerful in the forest. These compounds drift to neighboring trees, warning them, danger is near. Those neighbors respond by producing bitter chemicals in their leaves, making them less appetizing. In African savannas, acacia trees attacked by giraffes release ethylene gas, carried swiftly on the wind. Other acacias nearby detect the signal and pump toxins into their leaves. Within minutes, the giraffe finds its meal spoiled. The forest has whispered a warning. Pause here. Inhale again, softly. Imagine the air not empty, but thick with invisible words, scents, molecules, messages carried from leaf to leaf. Exhale, and feel yourself a part of that silent conversation. Trees are also tuned to weather. They sense shifts in humidity, temperature, and even barometric pressure. Before storms, stomata may close to conserve water. In drought, roots send hormonal signals upward, telling leaves to slow their loss. Some species, like desert mesquite, plunge roots tens of meters deep, tapping hidden reservoirs unseen by other plants. In boreal forests, evergreens withstand snow by shaping their needles narrow, letting heavy frost slide away. In tropics, broad leaves capture rain in wide sheets, dripping life into roots. Everywhere, adaptation is awareness. Trees endure because they sense their environment and adjust quietly without panic. And perhaps that is a lesson for us as well, to listen, to bend, to respond with patience rather than haste. To understand trees is to slow our own sense of time. What seems motionless to us is simply movement stretched across years instead of minutes. In laboratories, time-lapse cameras reveal the truth. Seedlings sway toward light, branches twist to avoid shade, buds open like slow breaths, roots curl and reach like fingers exploring unseen space. To the human eye, it is imperceptible, but sped up, a forest becomes a dance, slow, elegant, unending. Imagine now that your breath has slowed to match that rhythm. Each inhale a season, each exhale a year. As you drift, you too are part of that patient dance. There is more. Trees respond not only to environment but to sound. Experiments suggest that roots grow toward the sound of running water, even when no moisture is present. Leaves vibrate to certain frequencies, as if the forest hears in ways we do not. They respond to wounds as well. When bark is cut, signals race through tissues, much like nerves firing in animals. It is not pain as we know it, but it is awareness, a recognition of harm, a call to defend and repair. And though trees stand silent, science shows they are never unaware. They are tuned, attuned, always sensing. Their stillness is not emptiness, but attention stretched across centuries. As we sit beneath these giants, let us reflect. A tree does not hurry, it cannot flee, yet it endures. Its awareness is not fast, not loud, but deep. Perhaps there is wisdom in this way of being. We rush, we measure time in minutes and hours. Trees measure in decades and centuries. Where we see urgency, they see patience. Where we hear silence, they speak in chemistry, in movement too slow for our eyes. And so, as you drift into rest tonight, let this patience guide you. Let the silent giants remind you that awareness does not always require sound or haste or struggle. Sometimes it simply requires stillness. Take one more breath. Inhale, imagining the cool air of a forest at dusk, filled with the invisible hum of life. Exhale, sinking deeper into quiet. The giants stand watch around you. They sense the world in ways we are only beginning to understand. And in their silence, they carry a language older than words. Tonight, as we drift deeper into the forest, we turn our gaze downward. Beneath the moss, beneath the fallen leaves, beneath the soil dark with memory, lies a world unseen. A world where threads finer than silk lace the ground together, binding tree to tree, root to root. It is here, in the quiet dark beneath our feet, that the forest speaks its most secret language. We walk upon it every day without noticing. A vast hidden network spreads across the earth like constellations underground. Scientists call it the mycorrhizal network, from the Greek mykes, meaning fungus, and rhiza, meaning root. To the forest, it is simply life itself, the wood wide web. Imagine peeling back the soil and seeing countless pale threads weaving in every direction. These threads are hyphae, the delicate filaments of fungi. They are so fine that a single gram of soil can contain kilometers of them, tangled like threads of light. Fungi have been partnering with plants for more than 400 million years, long before forests as we know them existed. This partnership is simple, yet profound. Trees feed the fungi sugars made from sunlight. And in return, the fungi gather water and nutrients from the soil, far beyond the reach of roots. But this is not merely a trade. It is a network, a communication system, a lifeline stretching from one tree to another. When you stand in a forest, you are not among separate individuals, but among members of a vast breathing collective. Consider an old towering tree, an oak or a beech. Its roots are deep, its crown wide, its leaves catching more sunlight than it could ever need. Through the mycorrhizal network, it shares its excess sugars with seedlings struggling in the shade. This is no metaphor, but measured fact. In experiments, scientists have traced carbon atoms labeled with radioactive markers moving from adult trees into younger neighbors through fungal threads, the strong feeding the weak, the shaded receiving from the sunlit. Foresters have even named them mother trees. These elders nurture their kin, and sometimes even strangers, with lifeblood carried not through air, but through soil. Pause here. Take a slow breath. Inhale, imagining the roots beneath you spreading like veins of the earth. Exhale, and feel the quiet strength of an old tree passing nourishment into the dark. This hidden exchange makes a forest more than a collection of individuals. It makes it a community. When one tree falters, others respond. When nutrients are scarce, they are redistributed. Nitrogen, phosphorus, even defense compounds can flow along these fungal highways. Picture a seedling, barely a whisper of green, its tiny leaves unable to gather enough sunlight. Without help, it would fade. Yet through the fungal threads, an elder sends sugar into its fragile body. The seedling endures, survives, grows. What looks like competition from above is, beneath the surface, cooperation. And still, it is not selfless. Fungi themselves benefit, feeding on the sugars they receive. Survival in the forest is never charity. It is balance, reciprocity, a quiet economy where life supports life. But nutrients are not the only currency. Information also travels through these threads. When a tree is attacked by insects or disease, it sends chemical signals into its roots. The fungi carry those signals outward, alerting neighbors to prepare. Defense genes activate, leaves toughen, toxins rise. The forest braces itself as one. In this way, the wood wide web becomes a nervous system, slower than ours, yes, but no less effective. Where we send messages in milliseconds, the forest sends them in hours, or days. But measured against centuries of life, what is a single day? To trees, it is quick enough. Imagine the soil beneath you humming with messages, not words, not sounds, but pulses of chemistry, passing unseen, connecting lives you cannot see. Inhale, and let that unseen network hold you. Exhale, and drift with its patience. Yet we must not paint this network as purely generous. Forests are not utopias, but balances. Sometimes strong trees can also dominate the web, hoarding resources or starving rivals by cutting the flow. Certain fungi favor particular hosts, channeling more nutrients to their partners and less to others. Some trees even use the network to spread allelopathic chemicals, inhibiting the growth of competitors. It is a reminder that nature is complex, neither kind nor cruel, but endlessly balancing survival. Still, even within this balance, the presence of sharing, of warning, of connection is remarkable. The forest is not a battlefield of isolation. It is a society of individuals bound together, sometimes competing, often cooperating, always connected. The fungal network does more than carry food and signals. It can carry memory. When a drought passes, the soil remembers. Fungal partners adapt, storing chemical traces that prepare roots for future scarcity. When a pathogen strikes, the memory lingers, so defenses rise more quickly next time. This is not memory as we know it, not stories or images, but biochemical imprints, the residue of experience etched into the living web. The forest learns not in minds, but in mycelium. Step back in imagination. Picture a forest stretching across hills and valleys. Every root tip, every fungal filament, every exchange of sugar and mineral and signal. Together, they form a network larger than the brain of any animal. It is not centralized. No single tree rules it. Instead, it is distributed, resilient, impossible to sever completely. Like a web of stars in the night sky, it glimmers beneath us, unseen, yet essential. Some scientists call it an emergent intelligence. Not conscious as we are, but organized, adaptive, responsive. A system greater than its parts. As we drift in this awareness, let us pause to reflect. The forest teaches us that life is not isolation, but connection. 8. That beneath every step we take, a hidden conversation sustains the world. We live in an age of wireless networks, satellites, digital webs, binding us together. But the forest has been wired far longer, through roots and fungi whispering in the soil. It is a reminder that technology is not invention, but imitation of patterns life has long known. Perhaps this is why walking in forests feels so calming. Some deep part of us recognizes the hum of connection, the quiet reassurance that no being stands alone. Take one more breath with me now. Inhale, and imagine drawing strength from the roots of the earth. Exhale, and let your thoughts flow outward, like sugars in the dark, feeding not just yourself, but all who share your space. Beneath our feet, the wood wide web continues, night and day, year after year, century upon century. Patient, silent, unbroken. It is the hidden heartbeat of the forest, and though we cannot see it, it carries the rhythm of life itself. And so we drift onward, through the unseen threads, toward the next secret of the forest's language. Tonight, we lift our gaze from the soil to the air. We have followed the roots and fungi beneath our feet, where whispers flow in threads of lightless lace. But the forest's communication does not end below ground. It rises into the breeze, invisible yet powerful, carried on the currents of air. For trees, the wind is not merely weather. It is a messenger. When we breathe in the forest, we breathe more than oxygen. Each inhale carries countless invisible signals, molecules crafted by leaves, drifting like secret letters through the sky. We cannot see them, cannot hear them. But trees read them as clearly as we read words on a page. Imagine standing in the stillness of a summer afternoon. The air feels heavy, warm, filled with the green scent of leaves. Suddenly, somewhere nearby, a caterpillar begins to chew. To us, it is nothing. To the tree, it is an alarm. Within minutes, the wounded leaves release volatile organic compounds, tiny airborne chemicals with names as soft as whispers. Terpenes, jasminates, green leaf volatiles. These molecules rise into the air and drift outward. To neighboring trees, these molecules are not random. They are messages. Danger is here. Prepare yourself. And those neighbors still untouched respond. They activate genes that thicken their leaf walls, or flood their tissues with bitter-tasting tannins, or release toxins that make them less appetizing. It is a defense that spreads like rumor in a village, one cry of alarm carried by wind, protecting the many. Perhaps the most famous example lies in the African savannas, where acacia trees stretch their thorned branches wide beneath the sun. When giraffes feed on them, stripping leaves with their long tongues, the acacias release a pulse of ethylene gas. The gas drifts on the breeze, reaching other acacias nearby. Within minutes, those trees pump bitter tannins into their leaves. To the giraffe, the meal sours. It moves on. What we see is silence. A giraffe bending its neck, a tree swaying slightly in the hot wind. What truly occurs is conversation, warning, preparation, survival. Some messages call not to neighbors, but to allies. When corn plants are attacked by caterpillars, they release volatiles that attract parasitic wasps. The wasps arrive, lay their eggs inside the caterpillars, and slowly destroy them. Apple trees, when chewed by certain moth larvae, send out scents that summon predators of those larvae. The air itself becomes a recruitment signal, a cry for help carried beyond the forest's edge. This strategy is not unique. Many plants enlist insects as bodyguards, calling them through invisible perfumes. It is an alliance written in chemistry, maintained by wind. Pause here. Inhale gently. Imagine the breeze around you carrying not only scent, but meaning. Letters exchanged between leaves, invitations to unseen allies. Exhale, and let that hidden dialogue drift softly past. Not all trees speak the same chemical language. Just as human languages differ, so too do the compounds used by different species. A pine may release turpentine-rich terpenes, sharp and resinous. An oak may release astringent volatiles, earthy and bitter. Each carries unique signatures, recognizable to kin, sometimes even to strangers. Even more remarkable, the same tree may shift its language depending on the threat. A birch attacked by insects speaks one chemical dialect. Attacked by fungi, it speaks another. Each signal is tailored, precise, evolved over millions of years. The forest, then, is a polyglot. Countless dialects carried on the same breeze, blending into a chorus too subtle for human senses, yet perfectly legible to those who need to hear. How do we know these signals exist? In laboratories, scientists have captured the air around wounded leaves and analyzed its contents. They found the molecules drifting outward, each one a volatile message. They exposed neighboring plants to this air. Those plants began producing defenses without ever being touched by insects themselves. These experiments confirm what the forest has always known. The wind is not empty. It is written with messages invisible to us. The efficiency of these signals depends on weather. In still air, molecules linger close, saturating the local space. In wind, they travel farther, though more diluted. In rain, they wash quickly away. The forest adapts. Some trees release stronger bursts in wet conditions, ensuring their warnings persist. Others rely more heavily on underground networks when air is unreliable. Above and below, redundancy ensures survival. The forest is never without voice. Even fire carries its own signals. When plants burn, they release molecules called kerikins, born from the combustion of cellulose. These compounds drift into the soil, where they trigger the germination of seeds long waiting in silence. To humans, fire is destruction. To the forest, it is also renewal, a cue to rise again. The smoke itself becomes a language of rebirth. Pause for reflection. The air around us is not blank. It is alive with messages we cannot see. Every breath we take in a forest carries the secret chemistry of its conversations. We inhale not only oxygen but whispers of defense, of warning, of alliance. The forest moves its words as we move our thoughts, unseen, yet potent. Perhaps this is why standing in the woods feels so calming. We are wrapped not in silence, but in a soft net of messages, each leaf a sender, each breeze a carrier. Without knowing, we breathe in the language of trees, and it slows us, comforts us, holds us. Now, as the night deepens, imagine yourself beneath the canopy. The air is cool. The wind brushes your cheek. Visible messages swirl around you, scents, signals, words without sound. They pass through you, leaving no mark but peace. Take a slow, patient breath. Inhale the unseen wisdom carried on the breeze. Exhale, and let it drift away, as though your worries too could be lifted into air, dispersed into nothing. Above ground, the forest speaks in wind. And though we cannot hear it, we are always inside it, always touched by it. And so, we drift onward, deeper still, toward the next secret the trees keep. Tonight, we drift deeper into the forest, beneath the canopy where sunlight softens into shade. Here, in the quiet places where roots coil and shadows stretch long across the soil, an unseen generosity takes place. The forest is not a battlefield of individuals clawing for survival. Beneath its hushed breath, it is a society of givers and receivers, where strength is shared and weakness is softened by kindness older than humankind. Here, in the cool shadows, trees care for one another. Imagine an old tree, tall and weathered, its bark scarred by storms, its roots stretched deep, reaching veins of water hidden far below. Nearby, a young sapling shivers in the dimness, starved of light. Its leaves are pale, its growth stunted. Alone, it might wither, but it is not alone. For through fungal threads and root tips, the great elder sends it nourishment. Sugars, minerals, water, resources, gathered by centuries of reach, are passed into the veins of the child. The forest, then, is not only competition, it is also cooperation, where those who can give and those who cannot receive. Scientists have given this network a name both poetic and precise: the Wood Wide Web. Through it, trees trade more than carbon. They share nitrogen, phosphorus, water. They even exchange information, chemical signals that whisper of hunger, stress, or pest attack. In experiments, shaded saplings too weak to photosynthesize were found to receive up to 40% of their carbon from nearby adult trees through fungal networks. Without that generosity, they would have perished. And when disease strikes one tree, others detect its chemical cries and prepare their defenses, even before the illness touches them. It is not an economy of greed. It is an economy of balance. Some trees become central pillars in this exchange, nicknamed mother trees. These giants, centuries old, act as hubs in the underground network, connecting with dozens, sometimes hundreds, of younger plants. Their massive roots and fungal partners form highways of nourishment. When seedlings sprout in their shadow, too young to reach full light, mother trees funnel sugars and water to them, like a parent feeding a child. Even as these elders age and decline, their final act is generosity, pumping nutrients into the soil, releasing their reserves so the next generation may rise stronger. To walk beneath an ancient cedar or oak, then, is to stand beneath not only a monument of wood, but a caretaker, a guardian, a giver. You may wonder, why give? Why should one tree spend its hard-earned energy on another? The answer lies in interdependence. A forest is not a collection of isolated beings. It is a single organism, stretched across acres, woven of countless stems and roots. If too many saplings die, the forest thins. If one species falters, the balance shifts. By feeding one another, trees ensure the survival of the whole. The network is not charity, it is resilience. And yet, in its flow, there is still something we might call kindness, because the tree that shares cannot know if it will be repaid. It gives into the dark, into the unknown, trusting the web to carry its gift. It is not only food that flows in the shadows. In dry seasons, roots connected through mycorrhizal fungi redistribute water. A tree that has tapped deep groundwater may send it outward, moistening the soil near thirsty neighbors. This sharing can keep entire stands alive during droughts, when isolation would mean death. Picture a summer of relentless heat. Leaves curl, soil cracks, yet beneath roots whisper and exchange droplets like secret prayers. The forest survives because it chooses to share. Close your eyes. Imagine the soil beneath your bed as a vast, dark web pulsing with gentle streams of life. Energy flows from old to young, strong to weak, healthy to wounded. Take a deep breath. Feel yourself as part of that exchange. Inhale the strength of the collective. Exhale your burdens into the web, where others help you carry them. In this moment, you are not alone. Neither are the trees. None of this sharing would be possible without fungi, the unseen mediators. Fungi connect root to root, plant to plant, weaving symbiotic highways. But fungi are not selfless. They are negotiators, brokers, sometimes even gatekeepers. In exchange for carrying sugars from tree to tree, fungi demand their own payment. Carbon life's currency, they take a cut, ensuring their survival. By doing so, they maintain the balance of the whole system. They are neither villains nor saints. They are connectors, indispensable to the forest's flow. In this way, the generosity of trees becomes possible, because every gift has a courier, every message a carrier, every shadow its thread of light. Perhaps the most tender expression of forest care is what happens when a tree begins to die. Studies have shown that as their final days approach, trees push their remaining resources outward. Sugars, minerals, nitrogen, all are released through the network to their neighbors. It is as if they give their last breath to the living, ensuring the forest continues, even when they cannot. In some cases, even stumps of long-felled trees remain alive, not because they photosynthesize, but because neighbors keep them alive, feeding them through roots and fungi. These ghost trees are reminders of connection. Even in death, the forest does not let go. What does this mean for us, listening in the dark? It means that survival need not be solitary, that even in the quietest places, unseen care flows around us. Trees do not hoard. They do not stand only for themselves. Their strength lies in interconnection, in a willingness to give. Perhaps then we too are healthiest, when we share our time, our kindness, our love. Like trees, we are strongest, not alone, but together.
As you drift now toward
rest, imagine yourself lying at the base of a vast oak. Its roots spread beneath you, its shade enfolds you. Below, a river of sugars flows from elder to child, from the strong to the fragile. You are inside that river, nourished, carried, sustained. Breathe slowly. Feel your breath as part of the network. Inhale the gifts of the forest. Exhale into its care. Here, in the shadows, nothing is lost. Here, every breath is shared. Here the forest teaches us. We survive by caring for one another. And so gently, we drift onward to the next hidden layer of this green cathedral. Tonight, we drift not into the canopy, nor into the roots, but into the very heartwood of trees, where memory is written in silence. If the forest is a choir, each leaf a note, then the rings hidden within the trunk are its long, unbroken song. Layer upon layer, year upon year, the tree writes a diary of storms and sunlight, of droughts and abundance, of peace and catastrophe, remembers, though it never speaks aloud. And tonight we listen. When you cut across a tree, the cross-section reveals rings, concentric circles radiating outward from the core. To most eyes, they are nothing more than patterns in wood. But to scientists, they are archives of time. Each ring marks 1 year of growth. Wide rings carved during seasons of abundance reveal years when rains were generous and sunlight plentiful. Narrow rings, pressed tight against one another, reveal droughts, famine, and stress. Trees, then, are more than living beings. They are historians. They keep records not in ink or stone, but in cellulose and lignin. Their diaries span centuries, sometimes millennia, far outlasting the lives of any creature that walked beneath their branches. This science is called dendrochronology, from dendro, meaning tree, and chronos, meaning time. Through dendrochronology, humans have unlocked forests as living time machines. A bristlecone pine in California has recorded nearly 5,000 years of history, standing silent while empires rose and fell, while languages were born and forgotten, while oceans shifted with the tides of centuries. By aligning the rings of many trees, scientists can reconstruct not just the life of one organism, but the climate of entire regions across thousands of years. We can trace volcanic eruptions by the sudden scars they left, can trace floods, earthquakes, fires, plagues of insects. Each event carved itself invisibly into the rhythm of growth. The forest remembers what the world forgets. Close your eyes. Imagine you are inside a tree, your roots spread through soil, your leaves drinking the sky. A summer of rainfall comes. Now water flows freely, sugars dance through your veins, and your trunk swells with a wide ring, fat with growth. Now imagine the next year. No rain, no clouds, only a scorching sky. Your leaves shrivel, your photosynthesis weakens, and your ring becomes narrow, starved. That thin band in your heartwood will forever mark that year of thirst. Through these alternating bands, a timeline emerges. Feast, famine, storm, stillness. A biography not of self alone, but of climate itself. The oldest trees are silent witnesses to human history. Some bristlecone pines alive today sprouted before the pyramids of Egypt were built. They grew as Stonehenge was raised. They endured as Rome burned, as cathedrals rose, as ships set sail across oceans. Imagine such a being rooted in one place for 4,800 years, watching as human generations flicker by like campfires in the night. For them, our wars and empires are but shadows across their bark. Their true attention is on deeper rhythms. Rainfall, cycles, sunspots, volcanic winters. To press your hand against such a trunk is to touch history itself. Not all rings are smooth. Some are marked with scars, charred traces of fire, healed over by new growth. A wildfire may blacken bark and burn branches, but deep within, the tree records it. Even centuries later, a cross-section reveals dark crescents, evidence of flame. By aligning these scars across many trees, scientists can reconstruct fire histories going back hundreds, sometimes thousands of years. Thus, the forest carries memory not only of water and sunlight, but of destruction. Fire, storm, lightning, axe, all leave their mark in wood. The tree does not forget. Take a slow breath. Imagine your own life as rings, radiating outward from a core of childhood. Each year, another layer. Some wide, full of growth. Some narrow, pressed by struggle. Some scarred, but healed. Like trees, you carry your own timeline within you. And like them, you endure. Breathe again. Feel the patience of centuries seep into your chest. In certain lakes and bogs, preserved tree trunks lie buried, their rings intact, though their branches are long gone. These subfossil forests extend our reach even further back. By examining them, scientists reconstruct climates, tens of thousands of years old. Ice ages, sudden warmings, cataclysms, long forgotten by human record. These lost trees are like voices from a vanished choir. Though they no longer stand, their rings still sing of the skies they once knew. The rings of trees have revealed secrets of human civilizations too. The fall of the Mayan Empire, once shrouded in mystery, was traced in part through tree rings that showed prolonged drought. Viking expansions and retreats align with cycles of warming and cooling recorded in wood. Even the eruption of Santorini in 1628 BCE, one of history's greatest volcanic events, left its shadow in trees worldwide, a sudden frost encoded in countless rings. Our stories, it seems, are inseparable from theirs. Human history has always been written upon wood. There is a philosophy written in tree rings. Time is not rushed. Growth is steady, deliberate, patient.
Oh.
Some years expand, some contract, but the circle always continues. Outward, outward, outward. No tree expects to reach the sky in one season. Its wisdom lies in accumulation, in the quiet layering of moments. Perhaps we too can learn this, that a single year, whether narrow or wide, is part of something larger. That our scars will one day be only one ring among many, softened by growth beyond them. As you rest, imagine yourself shrinking small enough to wander the rings of an ancient oak. You step across wide golden circles of abundance, then thin, dusky ones of hardship. You trace scars that whisper of firestorms long ago. Each step carries you deeper, closer to the core, the beginning, the seed. From there, you look outward and see the whole story of the tree. Centuries written in silence, radiating like ripples on water. Now breathe slowly. Inhale patience. Exhale time. Feel yourself becoming ringed too. Each breath a new circle, each night another layer of quiet. For in the end, we too are archives, carrying memories, scars, years, and growth within us. And like the trees, we endure. Tonight we drift into a cathedral without stone, without bells, without stained glass. Its walls are trunks. Its windows are leaves. Its roof is an endless canopy swaying in the wind. It is the oldest cathedral on earth. The forest. When we walk beneath its vaulting branches, something softens inside us. Our hearts slow, our breath deepens. Our thoughts, once sharp and restless, dissolve into something fluid and calm. The forest does not speak in words, yet it speaks. And tonight, we listen to why. Close your eyes and imagine standing in a dense forest. You hear the hush of leaves trembling in the breeze, woodpeckers' rhythmic drumming, the distant murmur of a stream. Unlike the noise of cities, the harsh angles of car horns, sirens, machines, forest sound is layered, textured, flowing. Scientists call it a soundscape, but poets might call it music without beginning or end. Every sound in a forest carries information. Leaves rustling signal the presence of wind. Birdsong signals territory and safety. Insects hum in frequencies older than language. Together, these weave into what some biologists describe as a green orchestra. Our brains, ancient and wild, are wired to find comfort in this orchestra. It tells us here is water, here is food, here is shelter. In a forest, survival once felt secure. Neuroscientists studying forest bathing, Japanese practice known as Shinrin-yoku, have found that time in forests lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. Heart rate drops. Blood pressure steadies. Brain scans reveal an increase in alpha waves, the rhythms of calm wakefulness, the same state that arises in meditation. Why? Part of the answer lies in sound. The forest's soft patterns, birdsong, rustling, water, are examples of nonlinear soundscapes. They are rich, varied, never exactly repeating. Unlike mechanical hums or digital alarms, which jar us, natural sounds hover in the background like a lullaby. Our auditory cortex, tuned by millions of years of evolution, relaxes when fed with such organic rhythms. Listening to forests, we are not just hearing, we are returning home. Walk into a great cathedral and notice what happens. Your voice softens, your breath deepens. The vastness around you seems to invite reverence. The forest does the same. Tall trunks create vertical space, stretching skyward like vaulted arches. Canopies filter light like stained glass. Even acoustically, forests echo in ways that resemble sacred architecture. Sounds softened, diffused, held. Psychologists call this the cathedral effect. Spaces of height and openness make us think more expansively, more creatively. Forests, like cathedrals, lift our gaze, quiet our noise, and open our minds to something larger. Take a slow breath now. Inhale as though you are standing beneath 1,000 leaves. Hold it gently. Exhale, letting your thoughts scatter like seeds across a forest floor. Allow your body to believe you are there. It isn't only sound. When you look at forests, you see repeating shapes, branches splitting into twigs, veins into leaves, roots into filaments. These are called fractals, self-repeating patterns across different scales. Remarkably, human brains are especially soothed by fractals. Studies show our eyes and neurons process them effortlessly, reducing cognitive load. Simply gazing at fractal-rich scenes lowers stress by as much as 60%. Why? Perhaps because our own bodies are fractal. Lungs branching, veins dividing, neurons splitting. The forest mirrors us, and we feel recognized. When surrounded by trees, our brain whispers, "This is familiar. This is safe." Another element of the green cathedral is its constant natural white noise. Wind moving through leaves creates a soft, chaotic pattern of sound, masking sharp disruptions. A nearby stream produces a constant murmur across a broad frequency spectrum. To the brain, this is a bomb. It filters out danger signals, allowing vigilance to rest. Unlike silence, which can sharpen awareness to a knife's edge, or noise, which overloads it, the forest provides the perfect middle ground, a textured background that soothes without suffocating. Among the most powerful sounds in forests are bird songs. Evolution tuned us to listen to them closely. For our ancestors, birds were early warning systems. When birds sang freely, it meant safety. When they went silent, danger lurked. Even today, studies show that bird songs significantly improve mood and lower anxiety. We may not consciously realize it, but when we hear robins and finches, our brains record a message. All is well. You are safe to rest. The forest, through its avian guardians, reassures us like a mother whispering over a crib. Forests slow us down, not because they move slowly, but because their pace of change does not match our clocks. A tree does not hurry. Its leaves sway to breezes measured in seconds. Its rings mark decades, its roots centuries. To walk among trees is to be reminded that not all life must be urgent. Our nervous system, wired for constant alerts, gradually sinks to this slower rhythm. Cortisol ebbs, muscles unclench, thought becomes expansive. The forest teaches us the patience of centuries without uttering a word. Close your eyes again. Imagine walking into your own cathedral of green. The path is soft with moss. Shafts of golden light pierce the canopy. Each step echoes not in stone, but in birdsong. You sit on a fallen log, hands resting in your lap. The silence around you is not absence, it is presence. Feel your pulse aligning with the rhythm of wind, the whisper of branches, the hidden heartbeat of soil. Stay here for a breath. Stay here for a while. Across cultures, forests have been sanctuaries. Ancient druids worshipped in groves. Monks retreated to woods for prayer. Poets wandered beneath oaks and pines for inspiration. Even now, hospitals with windows facing trees report faster healing times for patients. The science confirms what the soul has always known. Forests restore us. They calm the mind, steady the body, and soften the edges of thought. They remind us that we are not separate from nature, but of it. The Green Cathedral is not built for worshippers. It is built for all life. Yet when we enter, we cannot help but bow our heads in quiet. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine the forest as your cathedral. Each breath you take is a hymn, each heartbeat a drum. The rustle of leaves is the choir, the hush of soil, the silence between notes. Let your thoughts settle on the forest floor like fallen leaves. Let them become part of the humus, recycled into calm. And as you drift into sleep, remember, the forest is not outside you. It is within you. Your lungs are trees. Your veins are rivers. Your mind is a canopy of thoughts. You too are a green cathedral. Tonight the forest sings to us, but the song is thinner than it once was. Where once there were symphonies of birds, now there may be silence. Where once rivers fed the roots of giants, now droughts crack the soil. The cathedral of trees, though vast, is fragile, its choir is fading. And yet even in loss, forests whisper of hope. Seeds still fall, shoots still rise. The language of trees is not only about endurance, it is also about renewal. This is the story of fragility, of vanishing voices, and of the quiet human hands trying to reawaken the forest's song. Close your eyes and imagine the dawn chorus in an ancient forest. Warblers, thrushes, woodpeckers, finches, layers upon layers of voices rising with the sun. This daily choir once shook the very air, a natural orchestra rehearsed for millions of years. But scientists have found that in many forests, the dawn chorus is thinning. Birds vanish when trees are cut. Insects vanish when soil is poisoned. Silence spreads like a shadow. What does a silent forest feel like? Survivors of deforestation describe it as eerie, the stillness heavy, unnatural, almost mournful. The absence of song is not just the absence of life, it is the absence of connection. A cathedral without its choir feels empty. A forest without its voices feels broken. Forests are not only lost to silence, they're lost to flame and blade. Each year millions of acres burn, some in natural cycles of renewal, but many in relentless destruction. Chainsaws carve away giants older than nations. Bulldozers flatten canopies to make space for cattle, soy, palm oil, and highways. The scars are not only physical, it's the web of underground mycorrhizae. Once binding trees together is severed. The wood wide web collapses. A forest's language is silenced mid-sentence. To walk in such a place is to feel a kind of grief, not only for the trees, but for the conversations they will never have again. Picture an old tree stump in a clearing. Its rings, once vibrant lines of memory, are now frozen. Yet sometimes, scientists find these stumps still alive, nourished secretly by neighboring trees through underground roots. Even in loss, forests refuse to surrender. They keep memories alive in the strangest of ways. Beyond axes and fire lies another threat. Climate itself. As rising temperatures shift rain patterns, droughts weaken trees, leaving them vulnerable to insects. Fires rage hotter, longer. In boreal forests, thawing permafrost releases ancient greenhouse gases, amplifying the very cycle that burns them. In tropical forests, Amazonian giants gasp in heat they cannot bear. Forests, once shields against climate chaos, are themselves under siege. The choir coughs, falters, and grows faint, yet not all is silence. For forests carry within them a stubborn resilience. Seeds wait in soil for decades, biding their time. Fires clear land, but ash enriches it, and saplings sprout with vigor. In some forests, cones open only after burning, releasing seeds as if flame were simply another gardener. Even when felled, trees leave behind DNA, spores, seeds, and soil networks, blueprints for rebirth. A forest's instinct is always to return. Here humanity stands at a threshold. We are both destroyers and gardeners. We can cut, burn, and silence. But we can also listen, plant, and restore. Rewilding is the name given to this turning. It is the act of giving land back to itself, allowing rivers to meander, predators to return, forests to regrow. Rewilding is humility written on the landscape. It says, we are not the masters of the choir, only its guests. In places where wolves have been reintroduced, rivers have reshaped themselves, deer herds balanced, forests regrown. In abandoned farmland, trees and shrubs creep back, welcoming back the birds. The choir, though faint, can find its voice again. To save forests, we must first learn to listen. Scientists now use bioacoustics, microphones placed deep in jungles to measure biodiversity by sound. A forest rich with insects, birds, and mammals produces a complex acoustic fingerprint. A silent forest is revealed not only by absence of animals, but by absence of music. By listening, we can track the health of ecosystems in real time. By listening, we remember what is at stake. Close your eyes. Hear the faint bird song of a single sparrow. Imagine it joined by another and another. The forest begins to hum again, slowly, gently. Hold this sound as if it were precious, because it is. The story of forests is not only ecological, it is emotional. Many people feel what scientists now call ecological grief, mourning for places lost, for futures uncertain, for a planet wounded. But grief can be a teacher. It tells us we love what we are losing, and love can guide us to action. Planting a tree, protecting a grove, choosing differently in what we eat, what we build, how we live. Forests are fragile, but fragility is not weakness. It is a reminder of interconnection. The choir of trees is always dependent on every voice, bird, insect, human, river, wind. Lose one, and the harmony shifts. Protect one, and the harmony endures. Hope lies not in nostalgia for forests of the past, but in the courage to grow forests of the future. Rewilding is not simply restoration, it is imagination, it asks. What could this land be if given back to itself? A mined wasteland could become a meadow of wildflowers. Monoculture plantation could give way to diverse woodland. Fenced-off reserve could open to wolves, bears, and beavers, the engineers of wildness. Already, such stories are unfolding. In Scotland, Caledonian pines rise again. In Costa Rica, jungles once cleared for cattle are returning in green waves. In Europe, bison roam lands they have not walked in centuries. The choir is fragile, but not gone. It waits for the conductor's hand, and that hand can be ours. Tonight, as you lie in darkness, imagine yourself as part of that fragile choir. Imagine that your breath, slow and steady, is another note in the forest's hymn. The song of trees is not only behind us, it is ahead of us, if we listen. The forest is asking, will you help me sing? And perhaps, if enough of us answer, the green cathedral will rise again, not in memory, but in living sound.